Network broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Facebook, and of course YouTube. Get all your NFL news here first.
Here locally in the community. Make sure y'all go check out Kneecap Body by Jeremy Plummer.
Good evening, and look at this illustration of the intimidation factor of the mascot. We got the Bears. Ooh, that's menacing. The Lions, even more menacing. And the Vikings. And then you got the Packers packing a suitcase.
True.
Had to throw it out there. It is an FYF. If you know what that means, if you are a fan of this show, you know that means we need to fornicate your feelings if you are of a rival fan base. But it doesn't matter. We're all here to have fun. We love one another as a person, and that's what matters. So, this week, receiver came out, and Amon-Ra St. Brown revealed he played since week 4. That was the middle of the Packers game. He had an oblique tear away from the bone. And he literally played through the entire season like that. And then I think it was week 17 at Dallas. He had some sort of toe injury. And he put a steel plate in his shoe that caused blisters and everything else. And he played through the entire playoffs and was productive. But at the same time, he had a rare off game in the NFC Championship. If you actually look at it, he had a couple of drops, which normally isn't there. But with all the pain that he was playing through, can you blame him? Well, I'm going to get B's take on this real quick.
So can I blame him? I mean, I'm not blaming Amon St. Brown for nothing. I mean, he played. He got 1,515 yards this season, and that's what he set out to do, and the 10 touchdowns. And if you watch the receivers thing, although I didn't think Amon Brown got a lot of hype in that whole thing, I think he really had the last 2 or 3 episodes where he was, he was spotlighted. But other than that, I mean, the dude is. He's out there. He still has a chip on his shoulder. That's what you want. You want football players like that. I think Amon is gritty as hell. And I think he's more He's grittier than any of those 4 receivers, including Kittle, that are out there. People forget about Kittle and his comments about, I don't want to go to a 17-game season because it wears on your body. And this is coming from the time when he was already absent for eight of those games during that certain season because he was injured.
Right.
Like, shut up. You already got a break. What the hell are you talking about? But anyway.
And
I'm great.
Before I get to you, Will, we got James Burgess in the chat, but look at the perfect French trifold. Talking about the three of us. Matt Henry says, "Good evening, fellas, and bear down." Yeah, that's right. The Bear fans better bear down. It might be a rough season if Caleb isn't as advertised. All right, Will, what do you think about that news that you found out about St. Brown?
I'm not surprised. Amon-Ra is one of the best receivers in the league. This guy is tough as nails. He fights through adversity. Most guys would sit out if they had a messed up oblique, but this guy is a workhorse. He proves it day in and day out, game in and game out. Guy's a stud. I know many other players who would be like, "Yeah, I'm going to sit this game out," but the guy's just proves that like don't I'm not giving up on this team and they shouldn't give up on me if I'm not able to play. I'll only sit if it's something worse. So gotta love the grit and the toughness of St. Brown.
Absolutely. I will tell you one thing. This is the craziest thing I've ever heard of any player playing through. I've heard of them playing through turf toe. I've heard of them playing through high ankle, low grade high ankle sprains, calf strains, hamstring strains. I have never heard of a football player playing through an oblique that isn't just tore, but it's tore from the bone, which means the ligaments that held those oblique muscles on were there. And Saint also does blocking, as Jane Burgess mentioned. He goes, no one got to worry about Saint. He'll get his as much as Ben calls for it. Saint gets downfield throwing blocks like a tight end twice his size too. Yes, he does.
Yes, he
It's
does.
crazy that he did all of that despite that injury. You're talking about a core muscle group. You're not talking about something that affects a limb. You're talking about something that affects your whole body and how you twist and contort. And the way he contorts his body when he's running, it's no wonder why he tore it oblique.
Exactly.
Time. Let's think back to a Tiger that everybody complained about when he was injured for a few seasons. Miggy. It was a torn oblique. It affected him for 3 straight years. Now, granted, he's not in the shape of St. Brown, nor is he as slight of frame as St. Brown. But at the same time, he is a conditioned athlete. So we have seen conditioned athletes not be able to recover from this injury that fast. But for him to play through it was amazing.
Yeah,
So what,
exactly.
Ricky? I'm chopped liver. You're just gonna say hi to JB and Will, not say hi to me, huh? Okay.
Yeah, he forgot about Bestrilla. Bestrilla the Thrilla's always in the house on Fridays at night and a regular staple on Wednesdays when he's not with the grandkids or the girlfriend.
Right.
I'm so friggin' happy we aren't one of the 31 teams asking themselves, why the hell did we not draft this guy?
Facts.
Amen.
Facts.
That is the main thing. And
Facts.
Thursday I did my draft profile on Manu, and today I did it on Mikai Wingo and gave the details on it. Did anybody get to watch those, or do you just want me to go ahead and reread them for you?
Reread them, man.
Reread
Yeah,
them?
I get to watch them. Yeah.
All right.
You good? You good? I'm just messing with you.
No, that's okay.
Talking to Ricky.
Hello, Thrilla. I'm never around evenings because of work. My bad, bro. Okay. You guys handle the chat. And let me know when I need to pause when something good is said, because I'm gonna read it right from my notes here.
Cool.
Mikai Wingo's trajectory from the SEC to the NFL draft board underscores a DT with undeniable disruptiveness, and a motor that doesn't quit. His tape is a clinic in backfield penetration, showcasing a DT who can shoot gaps with explosive bursts and consistently disrupt the pocket. Wingo's literal agility and high motor make him a nightmare for offensive linemen, offering scheme versatility as a gap shooter and a run stuffer. However, transitioning to the NFL spotlight, he'll need to bulk up as his pass rusher toolbox and sharpen his hand combat to counter the advanced techniques of pro offensive linemen. Despite an effective bull rush, and solid anchor against the run, Wingo's limited size and arm length raise questions about his ability to stack and shed against the size and power of prevalent NFL trenches. The critiques on Wingo's draft evaluation often circle back to his dimensions, how they might cap his effectiveness against the more imposing interior O-lines of the NFL. Success at the next level will require him not to just rely on his first step quickness, but to develop a deeper repertoire of pass rush moves and a more sophisticated hand usage to disengage and penetrate. His high energy play style and ability to occupy blockers are pluses. Yet his pass is a staple in the NFL defensive rotations hinges on mastering the nuances of interior D-line play. He also is a force on special teams. I'm sensing a factor here on when we draft defensive players. Every single defensive player we drafted, they say something about special teams this year. Carryon Arnold returned punts. Ennis Rakestraw was a gunner. Sion Vaki returned kicks and punts as well as ran, but that's why they're moving him to running back because our safety room is actually pretty full. I think they knew CJ Moore was coming back off of the.
No,
Is that Daniel Jones? Yeah.
no, I'm Daniel
Oh my goodness.
Jones.
And here comes the disclaimer. The views and opinions of Jeremy Bulrick Jr. do not be catfighting with the Motor City Lions or smoking Jeremy B. Dad, should we have kept Will Harris and traded Branch? That makes as much sense as wiping your butt, then going to take the shit.
Exactly. No, and Paul, I'm Daniel Jones.
Daniel Jones? Okay.
No, the thing about Wingo, I agree. He definitely does need to work on the combativeness of his hands because it will definitely get you further in the hand combat to get past to push the O lineman will help you so much better.
hmm So, B,
But
I'm going to
I'm
ask you,
excited.
what do you think about that?
About Manu
About Wingo?
Wingo.
Wingo. Uh, I mean, I really don't. I'm like I said, I'm not a big proponent of draft picks anyway because a lot of things. What's up, Yoli? Everybody can hit and miss on these things. I'm glad that our front office is mostly hit. Um, I mean, if they believe that he's a good player, and I mean, to me, he seems like he's going to be a pretty good player. But usually, I always cap on my first three draft picks for the Lions every time they draft, and if if he's one of the guys in that first three, then I know they got somebody that's going to be the guy. So I mean, we're going to see when it gets to that NFL level what he can do. I mean, I just with draft players, I even give that to Terry and Arnold too. I mean, any of the ones that Enos, Terry on, everybody's got to prove themselves to me because you're on in the NFL now. You're not in college. College will make you look good sometimes. The NFL can humble you.
It's a
So
whole different beast.
yeah,
I agree. No,
yes, sir.
there's a lot of great players in college who never translated to the pros. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Well, think about it. First round picks alone, it's a 68% bust rate.
Yeah.
What I will say is that Manu, Wingo, Vaki, and Mahogany are day three picks for a reason. They are more projects than ready to go right from jump. So they'll be rotational guys that'll come in to give somebody a rest, which I'm fine with. Everybody knows you got to have depth in the NFL. Injuries can and will help happen. People tire. But at the same time, I don't expect much out of Wingo as a sixth round pick until probably end of year two, early year three. because that's when they make their big jump development-wise, especially with defensive tackle. Defensive tackles tend to bloom later than earlier when the day 3 picks. So I know John Macaroon said this guy could be an all-pro by year 3, and I'm like, oh, pump your brakes there, Mr. Sports Illustrated. You projecting guys like that have been about as accurate as Daniel Kelly, the former Jets scout that writes about draft profiles. He
Well, I
also,
mean, that's what but that's what you got to look at in draft picks. I think 3 years from out the draft is what you have to base everything off of. If they haven't grasped the concept of the NFL by that time, then enough. Well, in Wingo's case, enough to get him a starting position or be a substitute in and out of the game for the Lions. Then there's some problems. I think out of all those people too that you mentioned, Mahogany just got picked at where he got picked at because he all these little stupid rumors going around by his one leg being longer than the other, and people are not. And then he got injured for a minute too. But he was probably one of the best offensive. He probably would have got picked in the top 10
oh yeah,
for
he was
linemen.
slated
So
to be a first rounder till he got
yeah.
hurt before the bowl game. Didn't he get
Mm-hmm.
hurt in their conference championship game?
Mm-hmm.
And
Where'd he go?
Mahogany went to Boston College,
Mm-hmm.
ACC, if I remember right, or Big
Yeah.
East, one of the two. But either way, I know that
I
he
believe so.
got hurt like either the last week of the season or in a conference championship game, and he couldn't play in the bowl game. But it is confirmed he does have one leg shorter than the other, which is what limits his ability to play the opposite side of the center. And that's one of the reasons, the biggest reason that he fell is because people want versatility, people who can play both sides and center. He's literally built perfectly for right guard because of the way his body sets. He's leaning towards the center already. So it stops either the A or B gap, depending on what goes in between the center and right guard. I can't remember off the top of the head. I'd have to look at it. But at the
Yeah.
same time, that's perfect. That's what you want is a guy that can help the center stop a big defensive tackle that usually penetrates.
Yep.
And Paul Jones, they'll redshirt a few guys until year 2 or 3 and hope the depth support from them in the meantime. Yes, that's exactly it. I don't expect much more than Mahogany to be a backup. And right now, the other side of the ball, the guys that are fighting for a spot is Coyote Awasika, Natane Mutai, and Colby Sarsgaard. And so far, if you read the reports and listen to the coaches, it sounds like Sarsgaard might have the leg up because of his versatility and being able to play tackle as well. Because we only got 2 extra tackles. We got like 5 extra guards.
Yep.
Well, I mean, versatility can be put with anybody, to tell you the truth. I mean, they can even make Mahogany, regardless of that BS thing. Anyway, that's BS to me. I'm sorry. He can play both sides of the center. They'll make him versatile. But Swordsville, this is his second year, so you want to make sure that he gets in there because they're progressing over those 3 years. Like I said, this is year 2. Most of the time, everybody assesses rookies from the time they start till 3 years into their career in the NFL to see if they have done all right, how they're progressing. And I think that's how the Lions are working. And I think they made good draft picks, but yeah, they're going to be all these draft picks are going to be in and out of lineups. Nobody's starting except for the first round pick. That's going to be, that's hands down who's going to start. But everybody else is going to be in and out of the lineup. So
Right. And we're talking about a backup. Once again, we are talking about a backup. We're not talking about a guy that has to start because we signed somebody who's better at right guard than the guy who did pretty good last year, which is Graham Glasgow, who did great at right guard. He did good at left guard. He
Yep.
struggled a bit while Ragnar was out at center, and we had to put the 2 rookies around him, because you had UDFA Coyote Awasika that was in his second year, and rookie Sorsdahl. And so, yeah, it's going to make the center look bad if the guards aren't helping.
mm-hmm.
And I hate the fact that if you actually read the way they do a sack for offensive linemen, it's the last person that touches the guy that broke free that gets charged with the sack, not the guy that let him through to begin with.
Hmm.
So I kind of hate that rule. Because what if they're getting past the tackle and then engage the left guard at full speed and basically bowl him over? The guard gets that sack given to him, but the guy
I
wouldn't have
didn't
been at
know
full
that.
speed to
Well,
get the
the reason why they do that is because that doesn't happen all the time. It doesn't even happen. It doesn't even happen in the course of the game, but a couple times. And considering how many snaps that these offensive linemen play, it's pretty good. It reacts that way. You might have that occasionally happen, maybe once or twice during a game, if that much. But usually, the guy that's getting faced up by the defender and lets up the sack is the guy that's going to get the sack. If they double team somebody, I mean, that's the other thing too. You got to remember that they double team a defensive player, and the defensive player gets past both of them. Whoever bowed ground first might not get the sack. Not get the sack against, but the person who actually touched them last, where you're saying is yeah. So either way, I mean, I don't think it's a bad rule. It doesn't happen that often in a game for that to even be looked at. I think it's a pretty good rule.
It is, but I'm just saying it can happen that way. Is all I was mentioning. I'm not
Yeah,
saying.
but it's a rarity though. That's what I'm saying
Yeah.
too. So
All right, we got Paul. James Burgess says, "I'm still surprised Baltimore let Zietler walk, especially since they want the running backs more this year." And that's absolutely true, because the main reason why we drafted Zietler is because we have an explosive run game, or we signed Zietler is because we have an explosive run game, and he's a top 10 against the run. He was rated better than Jonah was in his All-Pro year. Think about that for a minute, people. But he's a rental player. He was a rental, so we could draft somebody that they could learn the playbook, learn the verbiage, learn the protection call out, and be able to sit a year behind him. That's what he was signed for. At 34 years old, I doubt he's playing until he's 38, because guards take a lot of beating just like defensive linemen do. Most of them only play at most 10 to 15 years in their career, and that's if they came out early.
mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Uh, Paul Jones says if he was a redshirt guy last year and soars it all this year, Derek Barnes too. They do a great job in player development, unlike the Bears. LOL. Well, there's a little bit of fact to that, because Mitch Trubisky, if you think about it, his best year was his rookie year. Then every year was a decline after that. Whereas if
Yep.
they were good at developing a quarterback, shouldn't he have gotten better every year?
Yes.
So this is where I get a little off about the Bears and quarterbacks. Justin Fields, even though he didn't look great as a quarterback, he showed progression every year. He got a little better. He made fewer mistakes. And yet they moved on and then grabbed all these guys and then drafted a rookie quarterback. Give him everything Justin Fields never had. Is that fair to Justin Fields to label him a bust when he improved every year?
No.
I don't think so. I think it's just proof that, they didn't draft him is the key.
It's proof that coaches matter. That's the proof. It's proof that, like I said, to build a Super Bowl team, you just don't need the players. You can have a whole bunch of A1 players on your team, but if you have no coach and no ownership, your team ain't going to win a Super Bowl. That's just all there is to it. You got to have everything from the ownership down to the coaching, down to the players, and the right mix of players and the coaching staff. I don't care what nobody says. It's a team effort. Nobody. That's why I always have an argument about, oh, well, the quarterback won this game. No, the quarterback didn't. The team did. Somebody's got to catch the ball. People got to block for him. I mean, he doesn't do everything by himself. I don't understand why people give quarterbacks wins and losses. I understand he's a leader of the team, but hell, so is a coach.
Yeah,
So I mean, the coach ain't out there playing, so he can't help
exactly.
if coaches don't. If players make mistakes, it still comes on him and that should because he's a head coach. But I'm just saying, it shouldn't come on the players themselves as far as
Exactly.
wins and
There's
losses.
not just one man on a football team.
Yeah,
There's
22
90.
players out there working, but
And that's a good point here by James. I'll get to you in just a second, Will. I think the Bears should have just stuck with Fields and built around. Think how much they could have got for that number one pick this year. Enough stock in half a roster. Mark my word. And you're absolutely right. He goes, and then he had, I'm glad they didn't go with the big laughy face.
Didn't they win like 3 or 4 more games than they did the previous season? Didn't they end the season like 7-10?
Right.
So they won four
They
more
were
games. They doubled the games they won last year.
they won 3 the year before that because they naturally had the 1 pick and traded back to 9, which is what everybody forgets about because the Panthers traded up for Bryce
Mm-hmm.
Don't
Young.
remind me.
No, I'm just saying.
No, I know. I'm messing.
And that's why they had the extra pick at 9 this year. Think
Yep.
about that because that was their pick with their 7-win record. So if you look at his trajectory, it was 2 wins or 3 wins and a tie, whatever, his rookie year, and then it was 4 or 5 wins, and then it was 7 wins. That means he got better every year.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
So he was developing. That's the bad part about it because all he had was DJ Moore. Darnell Mooney disappeared. The year before, Darnell Mooney was good, and it looked like they'd have had a solid 1 and 2 with Mooney and Moore. And yet Mooney just disappeared and fell off the planet. And I remember talking about it prior to free agency even starting. Everybody's like, oh, they're trying to talk to Mooney about talks right now. Mooney has said he wants out. He wanted out 2 weeks prior to the whole team signing period. And lo and behold, what happened? He turned down the contract and he left. He's with Kirk O'Shaughnessy,
Oh, he's with the. Oh,
the
I forgot
Falcons.
he's with Atlanta.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
well,
they
I think the thing that took that out too is that Mooney wasn't really a reliable target for Fields, and Komet was awesome for Fields. Komet had one of his best years last year. So, I mean, Mooney had a couple times where he didn't run all the way when he's supposed to, and a lot of those balls that Justin Fields was throwing were either short or long because Mooney didn't finish the route right. So I can't blame Mooney can't blame Fields for a lot of that stuff. That's all on Mooney. So,
right. I understand that, but at the same time, he wanted out,
well, let him have out.
and so he got out.
So he got replaced by a Hall of Famer, going to be a Hall of Famer, and a rookie that's probably 3 or 4 times better than him as a rookie right now, without
Right.
playing it down in the NFL.
I mean, think about this. Penix and Bo Nix have 2 things most of the kids that came out of college do not have. They learned multiple systems and got better every time they learned a new system. That
I
shows
was.
adaptivity. That's why I said I think they are the most pro-ready quarterbacks because they're one of those guys that can come in. Because one thing we know is that if you have a defensive coach and the offense sputters because of bad play calling, the offensive coordinator will change. It happens a lot. You change coordinators way more often than you do head coaches. It's just a fact.
Yep.
Well, I mean, still, there's the NFL. I mean, like, there's why there's so many Alabama players in the league because they come from that's a pro ready football college right there, straight out. You could probably put them in the NFL and take one of the weakest teams out of NFL, and you wouldn't notice a change because that's how pro ready they are. But as far as quarterbacks are concerned, you still playing on a college level. And when you get into the NFL, there's defenses that you haven't seen in the college, and you got to learn how to read those. And that's all it is about. It's what quarterback is smart, can read that blitz, or read whatever the defense is sending towards you off cue. There's very few quarterbacks that can do that. That's why we have so many greatest quarterbacks. And people talk about Dan Marino. Dan Marino knew how to read defenses, and he's still one of the most prominent Hall of Fame, quarterbacks around now. So
Yeah.
And the
not
best
everybody
at
knows how to read
reading
defenses.
defenses, in my opinion, was Peyton Manning. He would call out defenses right at the line. He'd be like, you're actually doing this."
Mm-hmm.
I
He
know.
Yeah,
He was
knew
great at it.
what they were doing.
yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Well,
like I
so
said, again, that's a guy that's pointed out as a Hall of Famer, and of course he's you can point him out because of that. You can just say nobody like the quarterback from Minnesota does not have that ability at all, and he's a veteran.
and Smoking
Nobody's
Dave,
wild with that.
Smoking Dad. How was
It's a
your birthday,
daddy-o.
sir? Ooh,
Look,
balloons.
he sent balloons for his birthday.
Hope your birthday was good, sir.
He doesn't feel a day older than he did yesterday.
That's good.
Well, that's good.
But
For
anyways,
sure.
you know, thank you, Will, for your take on that.
Hmm.
The other thing is we haven't done the Geo, and I literally label him a project. He has some strengths. Number one, his size, his arm length, everything like that. But when I watched his game film, you can tell there's a big difference in Canadian college football and American college
Regular
football.
college football. I was just going to say that.
He was able to stay more upright than they do here in American football, and that's because they don't coach it the same way here. So
Hmm.
that makes it so he has a bad center of balance while blocking. And he does lock up right. He does lock up in the shoulder blades. I did watch that. His hand usage there is fine. Where he lacks is knowing when to let go. And he has that sheer size at 6'7" and a third inches tall. That's why you might see him listed 6'7" and you might see him listed 6'8". He's a little bigger than 6'7", but 352 pounds. And the official 40 time for him, once it was laser tracked, was 4.96. So he is an athletic specimen. And he has a 33 and a half vert, which means if he holds his hand straight up and he jumps under a basket, he's dunking.
Hmm.
Yes, he's an athletic specimen. But until he learns how to get that bend that elite tackles do, he'll be a backup at best. I'm quite sure he'll be fine to spell. He was very good at run blocking. But like I said, if he doesn't learn the point when to let go, when offensive tackles and guards trip over somebody and accidentally hold them to the ground, there's inadvertent holding calls called because those guys can't get up and do their job right away. So not only does he have to learn when to let go, but if he falls on him, he's got to learn to roll off right away.
Hmm.
So that's the things that I've seen that he has to learn. But he does have a lot of good traits. He's very instinctive. His feet move like a cat. So
Hmm.
he has good footwork. He has okay hand usage. He just has to learn leverage and how to do it at the pro level, which I'm very happy he's learning behind Panay Sewell, Taylor Decker, and from Hank Fraley. If we didn't have Hank Fraley, I would not have wanted this pick. I'm going to say that right now. What do you think about what I just said about Manu there, B?
I mean, it's true. The fact that he's probably the best offensive tackle in Canadian college football, and that says a lot about the scouting and stuff like that. I mean, they go out there and they do their job. So the fact that we probably got their best offensive guy or offensive lineman from you know Canadian college is shows you something. It means he's got some fluff. So all they gotta do is just be patient with him and make sure that his holding technique is going to be. And you're right, Hank Fraley can teach the kid. Yeah, Hank Fraley is one of the best offensive line coaches out there. He's been that way for a while since he started. So if anybody's going to get that through his head, it'll be Hank.
Amen. And James Burgess says Hank Fraley can teach the kid if his brain is at least semi-functional and the raw materials can't be argued. And that those are all facts.
Hmm.
The fact that he's a raw guy and can be molded because he only played 2 years of college football and he was rated the best tackle in Canadian college football. He was a basketball star, and somebody saw him playing a pickup football game in the off season for basketball and said, "Hey, why don't you come try out?" And he got to be a walk on and earned another scholarship because he had a half scholarship from basketball. He ended up with a full scholarship because he had football give him a half scholarship. So that's kind of cool that he ends up with no college debt. Not a lot of guys can say that by their senior year they made it so they had no college debt. There's not a lot of guys out there with those half scholarships that can pull that off. Now I turn it over to you to chat. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about? Can you imagine going Rick Mahorn on some dude driving the paint? LOL, LOL. You guys laugh at it, but this guy was because they don't have states, they have provinces. And those provinces from north to south, wherever there's towns, they all play against each other. He was an all provincial high school basketball star. He played center because his senior year he was 6'3" and still had that big ass reach and had a vertical leap. And probably was about 50 pounds lighter too at that time. Oh, 2 men on with 1 out, bottom of the ninth, and we got Matt Verling up.
Yep, I'm watching the same thing.
Yep, the count is 1-1. 2-1. But boy, that four-seam fastball missed by a mile.
Yeah, whoever they got, Hudson's pitching?
Yeah, Dan
He ain't
Hudson.
that. His ERA is, I don't know what his overall ERA is. Season
I'd have to look at it.
167. Well, he ain't too bad.
Oh, swinging strike. Got him with the slider. Batter timeout. 2-2 is the count. Yeah, if he would have stayed with basketball, and the only reason why he didn't, his football coach goes, dude, your measurables and your skills don't just translate to college football in Canadian football. You might be able to be one of the first guys at your position to be drafted coming out of college into the NFL, and he was right. So he stuck with football his senior year. Mm, 2 outs, 2 on, and Riley Green at the plate.
That's it right there. That's the win right there.
Did he get it?
I know. I said that he's going to be the one that wins the game.
I like Riley Green.
Fouled it off because they put it in his cold zone. I'm watching the play-by-play on MLB. The game pass thing.
Yeah.
I know my boys are winning, but they've been slumping a little bit.
Who's your boy? Oh, the Yankees. Gotcha. Wow, where was that ball going? It was only an 88-mile-an-hour changeup. It looked like it was a foot and a half off the plate.
All two.
Uh-oh. Let's get it.
Ryan's going to hit this one.
Our
Watch.
roster is actually sitting at 88. We got room to pick up 2 more UDFAs or sign somebody if we want.
I have a
Because
suggestion for a UDFA.
who's that?
You know who, and I wish he was real.
Oh, yeah, he doesn't exist. Let's be real. Yeah, I
Oh,
don't want to
come
talk.
on.
I don't want to talk fantasy, but I will say I searched every college roster and every freshman that went in, and there is yet to be a receiver or tight end with the last name Blow, and I know that's where you were going.
Dang it, how'd you know? No, okay. Jeremy, um, I still can't wait till General Booty comes out so everyone can pick
Damn.
on him.
Game over. What a game,
Yep.
though. What a game. They led for 7 innings. Mm-mm-mm.
Yeah,
Is
they've been
General
playing really
Booty
good of
still
late.
at Oregon? Or, I'm sorry,
The
Oklahoma?
problem with them is they're not finishing games when these losses because there's a couple of games they've had a big lead and then they've lost it in the end. They're
Right.
not holding leads.
And James,
So
he just said it's good to have a slot, always good to have a slot just in case. And I think that's what they're doing because every camp, someone comes up lame or going to miss a little time. So it's good to have those spots open to bring somebody in and still have one for somebody else. Unless it's one of these guys that is the can't miss guy. And I know a lot of people have said it, but I'm going against it. Michael Thomas is not the guy for this wide receiver room.
Heck no. He's cancerous to locker rooms.
we got 89 active players on our roster right now.
So it's up to 89. I'm trying to
Yeah.
remember who signed the other day. Oh,
You know who
we
was
brought TJ
seen?
Moore back. That's the 89th player. That's why it was 88 before we brought him back.
Jeremy, I know this is a Lions show, but Stephon Gilmore was seen in Charlotte working out the other day.
Ooh,
Yeah.
ooh. I didn't hear the
Oh,
name.
Stephon Gilmore.
Yeah, Stephen
Yeah.
Gilmore still on our roster.
Yep.
I hope he gets playing time eventually. I think that kid was so good in preseason.
James Burgess says Michael Slow Train Thomas.
Dude, I've seen interviews with Michael Thomas. I chuckle how he talks.
You know, is it Keon Coleman or Keon Green, the guy that got drafted by the Bills, the wide receiver?
Coleman.
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 He's got one of those voices that you can laugh at too. You know what I mean? And I don't mean it in a bad way. I mean the way he talks. He just sounds funny, and his timing's good with his little jokes.
Yes, I agree, Paul Jones.
Yes, DPJ actually got cut this offseason. He worked out hard because he doesn't want to have us go as far as we did and come up short again either. That's one thing you notice. Everybody this offseason looked like they went to Amon-Ra St. Brown's house and worked with that family. I also heard on the 33rd podcast with the St. Brown brothers, they asked Equanimus if Detroit wanted him. He goes, well, I contacted him when I found out I was a free agent. They said they didn't need me.
Where is he
We can go,
now? Is he
damn.
with Chicago?
Yeah, he was with Chicago last year. What he
He's with
wasn't
the
great.
he's with the Saints now.
He's with the Saints now. He wasn't good at catching the ball last year that well. He did better than he did the year before with the Packers. But at the same time, he was really good at downfield run block. The problem is that the interior line was so bad at run blocking, he hardly ever had the downfield run block.
Jeremy, where does the youngest one go to
Well, first of
college?
all,
I
his
forget.
his his brother's not nowhere near on Amon's level. First
No,
of all, and then second of all, Amon told him hey, well, hey, you got to let me talk to you got to let me talk to you got to let me get you in. You can't just say, oh, I want to come in and no, you're going to get denied because nobody knows who you are. If I get some play in there, then maybe you can come on next year. You could spend a year in New Orleans and then come here next year.
right?
He ain't going to be here next year either.
Nah.
Because the Lions is they're going to be looking at him on like, I know that's your brother, but you the better of the brothers, okay? So
Hey, another question, y'all. We got a line on who our kickoff return will. Oh, wait, I got to bring him in. It's Cameron.
Hi.
Hello.
what's up,
So
man?
I know you saw the topics. What did you think about that coming out about the injuries that plagued St. Brown last year, and he played through all of it?
He's a dog. I've
Amen.
gotten into Jeremy. You had me on Facebook. You know how high I am on St. Brown. St. Brown, hands down, favorite current player on the roster. I've gotten into debates with my friends as of late, especially the Cowboys ones, where I'm like, this just goes to show he's a top 5 wide receiver, and they're like, oh well, this receiver's better, this receiver's better, this receiver's better. Well, this receiver just didn't produce more because his quarterback was injured. Okay, St. Brown had a torn oblique and still ended up top 3. 1,500 yards, 10 touchdowns, and he's been injured since week 4. He played 12 games injured?
13 regular
He
season.
missed a game. He missed a game.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
He tore it in week 4. He missed one game. That left
Right.
13 games after week 4. So he played 12 games coming off an injury and was still a top 3 wide receiver.
And plus 3 in the playoffs. So he played 15 games total.
15 games on an injury, outproduced most wide receivers, and you can't, because one of the names thrown out there was Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase is phenomenal, great wide receiver. He doesn't produce like St. Brown does. And the argument was, well, he has more receiving yards with less receptions, and it's like, okay, but he's a deep threat. And then there's the argument,
There is a difference. St. Brown is an all-around receiver. He can be a deep threat. He can be a crossing guy. He can be the screen guy. He can be the jet sweep guy. He's one of those guys that can do it all.
Isn't it against the rule not putting St. Brown? No. If St. Brown is medically cleared, which technically he was, no, it's not against the rules.
And believe it or not, it's actually up to the player with any injury if they want to sit out or not. And Paul Jones, DJ Reader's agent, said you'll make less money and work twice as hard. And Reader told him, "Where do I sign about coming to the Lions?"
Yeah.
That's huge. St. Brown works harder than everybody else.
He does. He does.
And you know what? If it wasn't for his core strength training he does every year in the off season, he probably wouldn't have been able to handle that injury.
I know how oblique injuries feel. I do MMA. Just getting kicked in my oblique, bro. I want to go sit in the corner and cry. one of my favorite sports content
You know what
creators
St. Brown would say, right?
What's that?
Suck it up, you little bitch. I played through it.
Yeah, right.
He would.
But
I'm just saying.
One of my favorite sports content creators, Benchwarmer Brand. I mean, he put it pretty much perfectly. St. Brown's a psychopath in the best way possible.
Right.
Saint's example makes others work more too. Khalif and JMO both admit. Yeah, JMO worked more with Saint. He was like, bro, he's like, I want to be on that level. That's why I refuse to believe that St. Brown's or that JMO's going to be a bust.
Exactly.
Khalif, Raymond. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, you're okay. You can keep talking. I was just giving it up because I was going to read off the chat.
Okay.
St. Brown works harder than everyone else. Saint's example makes it others work more too. Khalif and JMO both admitted it. So did DPJ. You look at what DPJ, he had a body transformation this offseason too. He's way more cut than he was before. Look at Broderick Martin. That is a body transformation. He got rid of 60% of his body fat.
He turned into fucking Brock Lesnar 2.0.
Right.
That's like the wild part about it.
Again, I mean, that's cool. But again, that's got to transform into something. Okay, we already know Amon. That's has been his MO the whole time. But with these other guys being ripped and getting stronger or doing this or doing that, it depends on how they use it in a football game. I mean, I've seen people get buff on most teams and not do nothing with it. So, I'm really not still sold on DPJ because I think he's like mid right now. And I think that Khalif is going to take that wide receiver 3 spot. He ain't getting that because there's too much quickness.
Jeremy, out of curiosity, did you see the CBS Sports top 10 NFL coaches that was put out?
Yeah, I know LaFleur was at 8 and Campbell was at 9.
So it goes Andy Reid. This is order 1 to 10. Andy Reid, Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan, John Harbaugh, Matt LaFleur, Mike Tomlin, Jim Harbaugh, Dan Campbell, Sean McDermott, and Kevin Stefanski. I'm gonna put it this way. I don't think Sean McVay or Matt LaFleur are top 5 coaches.
Nope.
Sean McVay had one super team to take him to the Super Bowl. What, 3 years ago?
Yeah.
Hasn't repeated it since. Hasn't made it. He didn't make it last year into the playoffs. I don't believe.
Yeah, he made the playoffs.
That's right. Was it a wild card loss?
No, we played him.
No. 2022. 2022.
No, they had a bad year that year.
They had a bad year that year. This year they got to the wild card and lost. So what that tells me is without a super team, Sean McVay's not going to the Super Bowl. The year that he went to the Super Bowl with Goff had a very, very solid defense. Now,
John Dorman was a bad take, 3,246 in this offseason. Campbell is a side up at LOL.
I don't ever acknowledge
John anyway.
And then
he wouldn't know football, but kicked him in his face.
Oh, well, then he's really about to hate what I have to say about Matt LaFleur because Matt LaFleur has a first ballot Hall of Fame quarterback for how many years and then proceeded to never get further than the NFC Championship, maybe. Meanwhile, Dan Campbell made it to the NFC Championship in his 3rd year on a true rebuild. without a superstar roster.
With a horrible secondary.
Yeah.
Kind of hard
John
to be
Lawrence.
500 when you start out 3-13-1, Jorn. With a horrible roster with 65 million in dead cap.
And
Well,
yet,
let's see, John. Let's see. Yeah, he might not be 500, but let's see. He won 3 games the first year. He
9
won
games
9
the second
games the
year.
next year, and then this year he won 12. Yeah, he's a bad coach. Get the fuck out of here.
Exactly.
Let's also not look at the culture shift from Matt Patricia, where everyone wanted out of Detroit, to now you have Dan Campbell in Detroit, and you have players from other teams who have years left on their contracts. Man, I'd fucking love to go to Detroit and play for Dan Campbell.
Right.
He seems like the guy I want to get behind. I don't hear that about Matt LaFleur. Matter of fact, I believe after we blew out the Packers 21-3 in the first half, the first meeting this season, wasn't Matt LaFleur crying like a little bitch? Well, that's a bullshit question. If I knew how to handle it, I would have done it, wouldn't we?
All right.
Yeah, you forget about that, John.
Yeah,
Matt DeFlower. I love that. Matt
Matt
DeFlower has a losing record versus MCDC. Damn Skippy.
4-2. Dan Campbell is 4-2 versus LaFleur.
With that roster that you said is put together with duct tape, they still be beating the Green Bay Packers ass. Come on now.
If Ben Johnson leaves, the Lions will be garbage.
By the way, just for the sugar on top of that, wasn't Aaron Rodgers' record for winning in to get into the playoffs like undefeated last year, just to choke up against that duct tape held together roster?
It is the 12th. No, not versus that. You are not 6-4 versus Dan Campbell.
No, you're not.
2-4.
Not since Dan Campbell's been
all that tells me is that Matt Patricia was a bad coach. Congrats, you were 4-0 against Patricia. Dan Campbell came in, and you've had a under 500 winning record against Dan Campbell.
Right.
Okay. So I wanted to say this right now. Oh, let's see. It is.
I don't know if that's not it.
2024. One year and almost 8 months ago. In other words, 566 days. Aaron Rodgers' last completed pass in Week 18, Green Bay versus Detroit, was to Kirby Joseph. I hope he never plays another frickin' snap.
John,
you know what's really sad?
First of all, Green Bay choked too. Give me a break. They choked before the Lions did.
You know what's really sad?
One thing
Let's throw 2 interceptions though.
One thing
I talk about that.
I would much rather end on a touchdown and trying to go for it on an onside kick than have my quarterback with a chance to win the game throw an interception.
Can I point something out?
Go ahead.
Aaron Glenn, who's arguably one of the worst defensive coordinators in the league, has a winning record against Green Bay.
Right.
Yep.
And John, week 4, Detroit really beat the hell out of Green Bay. It wasn't even a game.
We made your head coach cry.
He complains about us scoring 9 points to keep it from being a 2-touchdown league. But at the same
Lions
time,
are 12-5. They ain't no fraud.
In week 4, if the Packers didn't score 14 points, we'd have beat them by 28.
Don't mind the bassinet in the background.
Hey, that's cool. That's cool.
Well, we're going to mind now because you just pointed it out. No,
I completely forgot it was back there, and then I looked. It's like, oh, whenever Mama needs sleep, baby goes back.
I was looking at all the artwork on the wall. I wasn't even paying attention to that.
That's all my car show awards.
Starting a new quarterback. Can't say it was a rookie though.
What?
He had been in the year.
You got too many excuses, man.
What?
He's like
Wow.
a Packer fan.
Wow. Let's give out more excuses.
Right.
You guys tout Jordan Love that he's better than Goff. He had 7 good games the entire season.
Can I point out that since starting 1-6 in 2022, we have a over 20 game win record. We were like 22-6 or some shit like that. 22-7. 22-7. No, 22-8.
Of course, you don't have the Lions making the playoffs because you're a Fudge Packer fan.
I don't even have
He's a homer and a hater, and it's okay.
Lions roster week. We were graded as what, the number 4 defensive line in the league now.
Number one offensive line.
Number 1 offensive line. We have
the number 2 under 25 roster in the NFL. Green Bay didn't even make the top 10.
Actually, we had
Paul
more
Jones.
players.
Tampa Bay did smoke Green Bay in Lambeau.
Yeah.
What's your excuse for that, John? We played Tampa Bay twice and beat the crap out of them. You only played them once, and you got your ass kicked at your own place.
Hey, let's also not forget that Detroit was the only team in the entire NFC North to sweep the NFC South and the AFC West.
There you go.
Didn't y'all lose to who was it that Green Bay lost to in the West? Was
Giants?
In the AFC West. Giants are NFC East.
Oh.
Packers lost to, was it the Broncos or was it the Raiders? Might have been the Chargers.
I think it was the Chargers, yeah.
Can't remember.
They beat Kansas City, I know that.
They got their asses handed to them by the Buccaneers against Baker Mayfield, who was claimed to have been a washed-up quarterback.
They lost to Daniel Jones.
How the fuck do you lose to Daniel Jones?
I don't care if it was in the Meadowlands or not. You still lost to him.
Ref saved your Rams line shouldn't even have won a playoff game. At what point did the ref save us?
He'll show the meme in the Huddle Sports Network page. He'll show it where Cam Sutton did grab the guy's jersey, but it wasn't called.
Oh, well. You know how many times...
Oh, wait. Let's think back when we were, undefeated and 3-0-1, and we go and face Green Bay, and the Phantom hands to the face calls that saved Aaron Rodgers' butt with Trey Flowers that year.
I remember that.
That's defense.
I remember that. The 2 Phantom hands to the face penalties. I remember those.
Yep.
With a guy that had never been called for it before in his career.
And he had done the exact same thing every time, and when they went back and looked. So let me get this straight. Lions have had everything handed to them on a silver platter, yet if I remember correctly, the Packers and the Chiefs had the highest rate of unwarranted penalties to go in their favor in franchise history.
Well, it's getting that time of night. It's almost time for my slot to end. Yes. I must air a couple of things real quick. Number 1, our favorite sponsor in the entire world. What is it? It's Fornicate the Packers. Because we're on Roku. Got to do it real.
Oh, yes.
And last but not least, Brandon's Tire Service, right here in sunny Flint, Michigan, where the water is shit, but the tires are good. Used tires starting at $40. New tires, call and get your quote 810-233-8230. Ask for George, Red, or myself. Or if you don't want to talk to any of them, just ask for Jeremy. I'll answer.
Can I address that one comment that John just made?
Which one?
The Packers will always own the same old lines. That's true. The Packers will always own the same old lines. Unfortunately for you, the same old Lions died week 9 in the 2022 season. The Lions have the best win-loss record since week 9 of 2022 at 22-8.
Yep, 4-2.
There's not a team with a better record right now.
4-2 in Green Bay against Green Bay. Just remember that. That's fool's gold.
Yes, the Packers will always own the same old lines. 100% factual. Unfortunately for you, the same old lines don't exist anymore. Cherry picking? Where am I cherry picking? You said they'll own the same old lines. Same old lines aren't around anymore.
Cam, you're going to be here forever arguing against John. He's a moron. He don't know nothing but Green
Clearly.
Bay.
And the sad part is I used to be a Packers fan. I was raised a Packers fan. My family owns a pretty decent-sized stake of the Packers. You still don't see me sitting here deep-throating fucking Matt LaFleur.
James.
The same old Lions don't make a playoff.
The same old Lions don't go to the NFC Championship. The last time they did that was in 91.
Yeah, same old Lions didn't go to any playoff games. What are you talking about? 1, 2 maybe?
Yep.
So you a bandwagon fan? No, because I became a fan back in 2015, right before Matt Patricia and Bob Quinn took over. I became a Lions fan when the Packers were a winning team and the Lions were shit. Good try. Good try.
That's okay.
I don't fit the definition.
Well,
Yep.
I know you ain't calling nobody anything, John.
So
He's
a guy
he's
quits a
upset.
team that's a winner to go and watch a team that was struggling and now is good. So you're going to call him a bandwagon fan. A bandwagon fan jumps on when the team is winning. Am I
Probably like
wrong,
John.
Jeremy?
John's probably a bandwagon fan.
He's always been a Packer troll.
I became here. If you need to know when exactly I became a Lions fan, I don't know if y'all can read that, but that says back in 2015, the Lions took Quandre Diggs, quarterback or defensive back out of Texas with a 5th-round pick. I've lived in Texas my entire life, born and raised a Longhorns fan. Quandre Diggs was the reason that I was a Lions fan. Good try.
Good luck with that, Dorn.
Yeah, right. Packers haven't swept the Lions in a while, so
Sweep the same old Lions. He didn't even say the Lions. He said Lions. Lions, not Lions.
well, Lions.
He
Yeah,
doesn't know his
Same
spell. What do
line.
you expect? He's a Packers fan.
Sorry,
Yeah,
I had a little
sweep
itch.
the same old lines with your straw.
I got a dollar bill laying around here somewhere. I can find it.
now that was a good one.
You be a Chiefs fan next? Nope, absolutely cannot stand Patrick Mahomes. Good try though.
He just said he went from a winning team to a losing team.
That's the opposite of bandwagoning.
Yeah.
Do me a favor. Look up their record from 2015 to 2018. It was dog shit.
Mm-hmm.
No. We
Wow.
went the 2014-15 season, which is before we drafted Diggs.
We did decent.
We had our 11-5 record, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And lost to the Dallas. And then we went 7-9 in 15 after we drafted Diggs.
Mhm.
Then we went 9-7, 9-7. Then we had 6 wins. Then we had 3 wins, and then we had the 5 wins we had the last year with Petrasha. With one of them coming with the interim head coach, Daryl Blevum, right? Bevel?
Oh wait, Jeremy, I just remembered something. Shit, hold on. It's here in the background.
Oh yeah, your belt.
That's looking a real bandwagon.
Pass is the pass. Division Lions. Division chumps the other 3. It stays that way till someone else does it. Amen.
Right.
You know what's crazy is those injured-prone players have still outperformed most of the current Packers roster.
Yep.
Sucks to suck. We had a receiver with a torn oblique since week 4 outperform every single wide receiver in your core.
Yeah.
But we don't want to talk about that, do we? We had a quarterback who was considered washed and sent to Detroit to die outperform your quarterback all year long.
So actually, on top of that, the Lions have gotten better, and the Green Bay's has just been mad because they were 9-8 2 years in a row, ain't they?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Remember that time that Green Bay was one game away being winning in from the playoffs, and Detroit kind of went and shit on their dreams?
Mm-hmm.
Pepperidge Farm remembers.
Yeah, Pepperidge Farm, remember.
I bet Rodgers remembers that too. In 20.
I wonder what he's getting Kirby Joseph for Father's Day this year.
Right.
Lions only have one good wide receiver, and he's still better than your entire wide receiver core. Congratulations.
Let's see. You guys had 5 guys get 700 yards. Good for you.
Isn't y'all's like wide receiver 1 constantly getting injured? As
His
y'all's wide receiver 2?
His wide receiver 1, Christian Watson, has a hamstring made of toothpicks that are segmented.
Lions wide receiver core is the worst in the division. Let's see.
No, it's not. I guarantee you, the PFF ranks us above the Bears and Green Bay.
And Minnesota. Well, no.
It's number 1.
Because they got Jefferson.
Jefferson, Addison.
We have the second best wide receiver core in the league.
Not in the league. For 7th.
Well, in NFC North.
Yeah.
We have, I would say.
I'd never say the league, but according to PFF, we have the 7th.
I'm sleep deprived. I'm sleep deprived. I've got a newborn baby in the house.
I know you do. I'm happy you hopped in, brother. It's been good to
Huh?
see
I was sitting on the couch. I was sitting on the couch, and I
you.
saw.
Adrian
I was.
McBride says, "Is it NFL season yet? It's so close we can taste it. Next year, rookies report to training camp. The following week, everybody's there. PFF. You know what? You guys can knock PFF, but when they're judging rosters and how they're built, the way they do their points plan spread, it's based off of production. It's based off of the top end and the bottom end, and an average is made. So when they're doing that, there's actually some stock to it.
Wasn't
They do have seven wide receiver cores better than the Lions in the NFL.
but only 7. We have a top 10 wide receiver core in the NFL.
Right.
Not only that, but if,
based on what you just said, that we have this is for John. Based on what you said, we don't have a receiving core, but we were 4th in the NFL in receiving, 4,606 yards. You know where Green Bay was at? Way down there with 4,210 yards. You know what, dude? You keep sticking your foot in your mouth every time you talk. You chat on here. You need to stop and get yourself some real stats and stop acting like that, because you just making yourself look like a damn fool.
wait, hold on. I want to check something real quick.
Oh, do you see what James says? That's perfect.
AR didn't leave the NFC North. We ran that bitch out of here.
I
Green Bay
like what
was
James
the
said.
pinnacle of civilization, where fine dining and a choice between Arby's and Culver's.
Hold on. I want to check something real quick.
Mm-hmm.
You know what's crazy?
What?
Is our RB1 and our RB2 had more rushing yards just between the two of them than the entire Packers roster. So not only did we outperform y'all passing the ball, we outperformed y'all running the ball.
Back.
We outperformed y'all by what did you say the numbers were?
400
40 by 400 yards in passing. And let's see here. What was our total? Because I know just between Gibbs and Montgomery, we had over 2K.
Adrian,
and you might have had, you both put up more TDs, but you only put up 2 more TDs than the Lions had, 32-30. Don't get.
Wait, hold on. Hold on. So he's boasting.
Right.
So 2,300 to 19. We had 400 more rushing yards than you two. I don't want to hear the crap that Jones was hurt most of the season. It's bullshit. Amon-Ra St. Brown had a torn oblique since week 4, the first quarter of the season, and still was top 3 in receiving yards.
And still had how many yards in that game, week 4 versus Lambeau?
You want me to look that real quick?
Yeah. Go ahead. Look that up. I know he had a touchdown because he did the Lambeau leap and had beer poured on him by a salty Packers fan.
Right.
That was probably John Dorn.
No, it was a woman. But yeah, it could have been. He might have been trans that day.
So week four, he had 5 receptions for 56 yards. So that was when he got injured. However, he only had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He had 5 games collectively over the next 15 that he paid where he put up less than 300 yards. Or put up less than 100 yards per game. Wait, what did I just miss?
Now we got all-pro Josh Jacobs, who hasn't been the same since his injury. He went from averaging almost 5 yards per carry to averaging 3.5 yards per carry last year. And you can
good luck with that.
Hold on 1 second. So Josh Jacobs, right? We're talking about Josh Jacobs, the one that was on the.
Hey, John, I got John Dorn. I got one more stat for you. You know how many plus plays receiving that the Lions had? They had 70. You know how many Green Bay had? 56. Get out.
Wait, hold on. He's talking about Josh Jacobs being better than a new running back that we have, right?
Right.
Josh Jacobs, 2023 regular season rushing stats. He played 13 games. All right, so we'll give him that. 233 attempts for 805 yards. Right. We have Jahmyr Gibbs, who only played 2 more games. He had, let's see here, 51 less carries and put up 140 more yards.
Oh,
He had 51 less carries and put up over 100 more yards. That's not even the worst one. David Montgomery, 219 carries, had 14 less carries, put up over 200 more yards. So before you hit me with this bullshit that Josh Jacobs is better, he's going to a better team. Y'all don't have
Who cares who won Rookie of the Year?
Let's see. What year was Josh Jacobs? Hold on. What year was Josh Jacobs drafted again?
It was a while ago.
2019. Who was the quarterback class in 2019?
Wasn't very good.
Derek Carr.
Yeah.
Hold on.
That Burrow?
Okay, that's like saying that Garrett Wilson. Okay, here's the 2019 draft. The three quarterbacks that were selected in the first round: Kyler Murray, Daniel Jones, and Dwayne Haskins. Dwayne Haskins isn't even in the fucking league anymore, if I remember correctly. Kyler Murray hasn't.
Wait.
Kyler Murray hasn't.
Wait, Cameron.
Dwayne Haskins passed away, so that's the only reason he's not in the league.
Gotcha. Okay, that's my bad. I didn't remember seeing the name. I didn't remember seeing about that, so my apologies.
When is okay, tell me when Gibbs was Mr. Butterfingers.
Oh, he had 3 fumbles all season.
That one fumble, you're going to say he's Butterfingers?
He had 3 all season.
Dude, when your receivers can catch, let me know.
When your receivers can catch, when your receivers can stay healthy.
Right.
I'm beginning to think that Adam is Joshua Dorr. Because he said, this is my alter ego. So he wanted a dog, Chuck?
So back to the quarterbacks taken in the first round in 2019. Heisman Trophy winner Kyler Murray. What has Kyler Murray done since he got in the league?
Nothing.
He plays 8 to 11 games and then disappears after that because he's playing Call of Duty or Modern Warfare to keep his career ranking.
And then Daniel Jones, which we all know the story about Daniel Jones. How am I tweaking? Hold on. I'm sleep deprived. Leave me alone. I just had a baby a week ago. I don't get sleep anymore. It doesn't exist.
Sleep doesn't exist.
It doesn't. Oh, here we go. Top 14 quarterbacks in the 2019 draft class. Gardner Minshew, Nick Fitzgerald, Easton Stick, Tyree Jackson, Trace McSorley, Brett Ripien. So a bunch of nobodies.
A bunch of guys that were in the USFL and the XFL the following season.
Mm-hmm. Sad one. I don't know. Who doesn't know their own players?
I think you don't, George.
Gibbs had 8 drops tied with St. Brown. 8 drops or 8 fumbles? Because I don't think St. Brown had any fumbles, and if he did, there were very few.
How many targets did Gibbs have to have 8 drops?
I can look. Hold on. Give me a second. I got this. I already have ESPN pulled up. Let's pull it up here. All right. Receiving, we have. He had 71 targets and 52 receptions, and he had 316 receiving yards.
And 8 drops. Okay.
And
as a team, the Lions had 35 drop passes, which was 7th or 6th in the league.
No,
but
I'm good.
We still at 12-5, and we still almost won an NFC championship. So I mean,
I was gonna
drop
say,
passes are overrated anyway to me.
Didn't Green Bay choke a lead against the 49ers too?
Yes.
Yeah. Jordan threw 2 bad interceptions.
Yeah, one was a chance to win the game, and he threw it so bad and off platform that I was like, "What the hell is he doing?"
How many interceptions did Jared Goff throw in the NFC Championship again?
The same amount he did the entire playoffs. Goose egg.
Man, I can imagine my quarterback throwing an interception at a crucial point in the playoffs. Lions was 4th in drop passes, and it showed against the 49ers.
No, they were 6th in drop passes. Get a life, man. Learn your stats.
And we had only 2 crucial drop passes against the 49ers.
We had 4. 2 were by St.
Crucial?
Brown on 3rd down, and then 2 were by Josh Reynolds on 4th down. Joshua Dorr, what's going on? Oh, we're just here talking Lions football and getting hammered on. Trying to have a Packers fan hammer on us, and it ain't working. I'm drinking something new in my new tumbler. My massive, tall tumbler.
So,
Yes.
Will, you need a coffee or a bang drink?
No, I'm good. I just need to go to bed after this.
Gary wrecked Lions O-line wall, 3 forced fumbles.
No, he can't be a semi-virgin. His child was just born, what, 2 weeks ago?
No, my child was born a week ago, July 5th. We have a post-independence baby.
Yeah.
Not a semi-virgin, I promise you that, because our first pregnancy ended in a miscarriage back in October. So
I'm sorry.
this was our rainbow baby. No, I'm not a semi-virgin. I have a life outside of my home, I promise. I get out and I do stuff.
Speaking of getting out and doing stuff, Smoking Jay's got a date next Thursday. I might have to take the night off of Fire Up.
I got all my commercial.
Really nice.
Speaking of, y'all want to know what's really funny? Is 12 hours before my daughter was born, I took first place in a car show that I was at.
I know,
right? Literally go take home first place in a car show, go home. Hey, we need to go to the hospital that next morning.
Oh, that's rocket scientist. Okay.
How many tackles? I love Brent. How many tackles will Quay Walker have against the Lions medical staff this year?
I love that picture where he's like crying off the field.
Oh, that's awesome. That's epic.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but didn't you had that wasn't even the first time it happened that year.
No,
it was like the second or third he got ejected for that reason.
Right, hitting assistants.
See, Detroit can never. When our players have character issues, we kind of send them kicking rocks. I.e. Isaiah Buggs and Cam Sutton.
I do, Joshua.
Yeah, well, Joshua Jacobs got 2 interceptions against Green Bay. We don't even have him anymore.
Wait, who has 2 interceptions against Green Bay?
Jacobs, when he was here.
Oh, yeah.
And we don't even have him anymore. See?
I like how he all of a sudden went quiet.
I heard that the other day, Josh, because I was actually on Tuesday night. I remember you made his shit list. By the way, Thrilla, Will, and of course SJB, cramming for the NMLS exams for my mortgage broker. So likely will be scarce till camp breaks. We'll try to pop in when I can. Hey, I appreciate it.
Good
and
luck,
I know
man.
that is...
Yeah, do that, James, man. That's some good stuff, bro. Do that.
Wow, he didn't even acknowledge me. I see how it is. James gave me my flowers. Nah, James gave me my flowers for last season because last season
mad at me for ball busting Eric Cat. It's not hard to do.
I want to say it was James. Cat. I think it was James. Gave me.
He
my
looks
flowers
like Joe Buck Jr.
With glasses.
I will say this, and John Dorn's going to hate me for this. John Dorn's going to hate me for this, but John, I don't know if you know this or not, but all 3 years of the Dan Campbell era so far, I've successfully predicted where they're going to end, as well as where the Packers are going to end.
What year is your pickup, Cameron?
Huh? 2010.
What year? What?
2010. 2010.
2010 Dodge Ram 1500?
1500, 5.7 Handy.
And it's custom. And it also is Lions based.
I've got the Lions logo embroidered in the center armrest of my back seat. I've got it airbrushed under my hood. It's expensive.
It's a beautiful car.
It is.
My car is going to be nice once it's out of the shop again.
I was going to say, I know a guy who does aftermarket installation.
Mini Scott Motor City Mad Wow.
I can see it. That's hilarious.
Yeah, I was going to say Joe Buck Jr., but that's okay.
Hold on, my headset died.
The best part of this week was when you fans asked me to do draft profiles on Wednesday, and I came through, and nobody had anything negative to say about what I wrote, because I was also realistic in my expectations of those guys. They're depth pieces, rotational. Eventually, they have a chance. Did you name your kid Lion? No, I don't think he named his daughter Lion.
No, it's Addison Marie. She got my late grandmother's middle name.
Cameron,
for those who don't.
Sorry,
Oh,
Cameron.
congratulations, by the way, Cam. I did not say
Yeah,
that.
that was
Yeah.
huge. Congrats, man.
For those who weren't here back in December, I lost my grandmother to stage 4 lung cancer, and Marie was my family's female middle name. And at that time, it had stopped with my mom, and I had swore that if my grandmother was not around when my daughter was born, she would get the middle name. So, Addison Marie, Addie Mae for short.
Is Addison a family name?
Nope. We were like, what name goes good with Marie? And given that it's a generic white girl middle name, it's like everything. So we were just like, first name on. We scrolled first name on the list that we stopped on. Was like, all right, that's it. So now we got Addison Marie or Addie Mae. True Southern Belle.
Joshua Dora. That's like asking if The Rock can beat Triple H with Vince McMahon as referee, because Triple H is going to win because that's his son-in-law. I'm not saying because you can't fight. I'm saying because the ref will skew the fight towards his son.
Can we laugh at the fact that these same guys who used to rebel against Vince McMahon in WWE back in like the 90s and early 2000s are now the same guys who are running all 3 WWE brands and are doing a better job than Vince ever did?
Yes. But my dad goes, man, the next door neighbor finally left. He's the Gladys Kravitz of our neighborhood. What a great honeymooners reference.
Cameron, what are your thoughts on the Cybertruck? It's ugly. It looks like shit. It looks like it's what you would get. Hold on. It's, in my opinion, I see it as what you would get if you handed a second grader a marker and a piece of paper and you said, draw a truck for me. That's what I see it as.
It sucks. It's ugly.
It does.
I know what it is. Look at it real close and then go back in time and look at a picture of a Pontiac Aztec.
You know what it looks like? It looks like a garbage can.
Oh, Bewitched. Sorry.
Oh.
I just know Kravitz was the one that was always running her mouth. I know.
First off, I hate electric vehicles solely because replacing the batteries in them alone is essentially the same price as it. It's more than a down payment on a brand new car. So that in and of itself doesn't make it worth it. I like the vehicles that are good for the long haul. I've had my truck since 2013. It's a 2010, and up until 2 weeks ago, it ran perfectly. I had the stock alternator and the stock starter motor in that truck from the factory in 2010, which alternator is URGN a buy or sell? URGN. I don't know what you mean by URGN.
But here's my take on the Cybertruck, and it's real easy. Anything where the plants can get away with putting more pollution in the air than a combustion automobile factory by 80%, which means their factories put more pollution in the air than every combustion vehicle across the world combined.
So the alternator in my truck outlasted its expected lifespan by 70,000 miles, and my starter motor outlasted by over 20,000. Me personally, I like the reliable shit. I'm a Dodge guy through and through.
I'm American-made muscle cars.
That too. My next car is a 68 Charger. I just gotta find one, at least a body for one.
In other words, the General Lee.
Are you going to make it line themed too?
No. Only one of my vehicles is line themed. I have a car. I have a motorcycle. The Charger's next on my list. I don't know where they.
I have it down to the color, the striping, and the motor, and the exact car I want. And it's from the year I was born. It's a 1970 GTO Judge in black, with the purple and orange striping down the sides, with the M22 455 high output Pontiac big block motor.
I've never seen one of those. I kind of want to see a picture of one.
I'll find
Joshua, I'm still confused as what you mean by URGN.
And I can't do a dog check.
Spell it out.
I'm special, Jeremy.
The cost of the battery. A Tesla is actually cheaper. The base model of the Tesla truck, Cybertruck, is actually cheaper to buy than a Ford Ranger right now. It's $60,000 is the retail cost of a Cybertruck. The base model Ford Ranger, which also is an EV, is $80,000. So you can't say you got to be rich to buy it because both of them cost as much as a cheap house.
Even a Tesla's, like, replacing a battery in a Tesla's overpriced, and Teslas are reliable and reasonably priced cars. You're not selling me on that. I will continue to put $60 in my gas tank every 2 weeks and call it good.
I put $20 in my tank and drive back and forth to work all week, and then also take a trip out of town. I do pretty good on
It's
it.
$60 per tank in the truck and $30 per tank in the car, and the car takes 93. So, I mean, I'm still gonna choose to do that rather than sit at a fucking gas station while I wait for my fucking battery to charge.
Right.
If I wanted to worry about a dead battery, I would just leave my underglow and shit on my truck on all night.
Well, on that note, it is about time to get out of here. I got to reheat my dinner and finish it. Thank you, Cameron, for showing up. Thank you, Will.
Yeah, Cam. Always good to see you, brother.
Yeah,
Just
I'll try
thinking-
and be there next week.
Everybody in the chat. And as always, try every day to be a better person than you were the day before. That's the only way to make the world a better place. It starts right here. Thank you, Adam, James, Paul Jones, Yoli. I'd say thank you to John Dorn, but I don't know if I want to thank him or not. But anyway,
You shouldn't.
John Dorn can get the FTP treatment.
Yeah.
oh, he already did. That was when he disappeared. I put up the FTP thing.
That's rude, Josh. That's rude.
Oh.
He's
Hey,
gonna give it to you
everybody-
anyway. So
Hey, guess what? Everybody here has the right to put an opinion out because opinions are First Amendment protected.
Yep.
If you don't like the opinions of kneecap biting with the Motor City Lions and their guests, I got two words for you, and it's just like the Generation X said: suck it.